Here we have a pre-calculus problem. Okay, let's go to the question. What is the value of tan of r cosine of negative square root of 2 over 2? Okay, so to get the value of this one, first I have to find the value of r cosine of negative square root of 2 over 2. Okay, first let me find the value of that one. So r cosine of negative square root of 2 over 2. Okay, before we find the value of this one, first we need to be aware of the range of r cosine. Okay, now let me write the range of r cosine. So the range of r cosine is 0, pi. So that is the angle measure we get for this r cosine must be in this interval. So that is it can be an angle from 0 to pi. Actually, so this range covers the first quadrant and the second quadrant. Okay, first let me draw the 4 quadrants. Here we have 4 quadrants and here we have 0 degree, 0 radians. Then we have pi over 2 radians here and pi radians, and here we have 3 pi over 2 radians. Here we have 2 pi at the same position of 0. Okay, here, so the range of r cosine is 0, pi. That means it covers the first quadrant over here and the second quadrant over here. So from 0 to pi. So we cannot get an angle in the third quadrant, that is between pi and 3 pi over 2. So here we have third quadrant, here we have fourth quadrant. So we are not supposed to get angle measure for this r cosine in the third quadrant or fourth quadrant. So we have to get angle measure for this r cosine either in the first quadrant or in the second quadrant, because the range of r cosine is 0, pi. Okay, and also we have to consider the ASTC concept over here, that is A in first quadrant, S in second quadrant, and T in the third quadrant, and C in the fourth quadrant. So A, we have A for the first quadrant, that means all trigonometric ratios are positive in the first quadrant. But for the second quadrant, we have S. S means sine and its reciprocal cosecant. Only the two trigonometric ratios, sine and cosecant, are positive. In the second quadrant, the rest are negative. Okay, so in the third quadrant, tangent and cotangent are positive, the rest are negative. In the fourth quadrant, cosine and its reciprocal secant are positive, the rest are negative. Okay, here, so anyways, we don't consider third quadrant or fourth quadrant because the range of r cosine is 0, pi. We consider only the first quadrant and second quadrant. Okay, so here the value we have for the cosine is negative. So we cannot consider the first quadrant because in first quadrant all trigonometric ratios are positive. So the cosine also must be positive. But here the value we have for cosine is negative. So the angle measure we get for this r cosine must be in the second quadrant. Okay, so to get the angle measure for this r cosine in the second quadrant, so first we need to get the reference angle. The reference angle is the angle measure of the first quadrant between 0 and pi over 2. So we can get the reference angle only for positive values, but here we have negative value. So temporarily we have to assume this negative value is a positive value, that is square root of 2 over 2. So that is, now we have to find the value, now we have to find the angle measure of the first quadrant from 0 to pi, for which the value of cosine is square root of 2 over 2. So it is possible to get it using either unit circle or trigonometric ratio table. So when I take cosine of pi over 4, that is I am taking the angle measure pi over 4 in the first quadrant, I got this angle measure in the unit circle. So when I get the value of cosine of pi over 4, I am getting positive square root of 2 over 2. So this is a reference angle. So we get this reference angle actually in the first quadrant. So it's an acute angle. Always the reference angle has to be an acute angle, and also it will be the first quadrant. Okay, now we have to use this pi over 4 as a reference angle in the second quadrant to get the angle measure for this r cosine of negative square root of 2 over 2. So now let me take this pi over 4 as a reference angle over here. So okay, now to get the angle measure in the second quadrant over here, so what I need to do is I have to subtract this reference angle pi over 4 from this pi. So pi negative pi over 4, I'm getting, so when I simplify this one, I'm getting 3 pi over 4. So the angle measure in the second quadrant, which is equal to this r cosine of negative square root of 2 over 2, is 3 pi over 4. Okay, now I got the value of this one. So the value of r cosine of negative square root of 2 over 2 is 3 pi over 4. I can plug in 3 pi over 4 for this r cosine of negative square root of 2 over 2. Okay, let me continue the steps over here. So here tan for this r cosine of negative square root of 2 over 2, we can write 3 pi over 4. Okay, now we have to get the value of tan 3 pi over 4. Okay, just now we got this angle measure 3 pi over 4, that is in the second quadrant, it's over here. In the second quadrant, what is the sign of tan? So the sign of tan is negative, because in the second quadrant only the sine and its reciprocal cosecant are positive. So this tan is negative, so we can take negative tan. So once we take this negative tan, so instead of the actual angle measure, we can use a reference angle, that is pi over 4. Now we can use the unit circle or trigonometric ratio table to get the value of this tan pi over 4. So from the unit circle, the value of this tan pi over 4 is just 1, and already we have negative sign over here. So the evaluation of this expression is -1. So this is the correct answer choice for this question.